Hello beautiful people and welcome back to my channel. Today is the 3rd of December and this is my Vlogmas advent calendar type of situation. I really hope I can keep up with this thing of filming every day. It's not easy, but so far I managed to find half an hour in the morning plus another hour or so for settling the video and formatting everything and putting up on YouTube. So we are on schedule so far, but it's only the 3rd day. So yesterday we talked about this little beauty here, which is the Christmas crown. So 4 candles of different colors that keeps up all the way to Christmas. We set the scene of my Christmas childhood or growing up in a very Christmassy place. Outside is snowing, well, not here. I'm coming to you from Ireland, so outside is actually very rainy today. But back in northern Italy, just by the Dolomite Alps, the mountains, there's a lot of snow outside and it's very foggy. It's always foggy over there. Literally every day of the year it's very foggy. And everything smells beautifully of pine tree and wood burning in the fireplace and candles, oranges and cinnamon. And everything is lovely and nice. So as I mentioned, I wanted to dedicate this Vlogmas to my great-grandmother and the traditions that she passed over to us. I have tried in the past to write them all up in what became a pretty lengthy type of manuscript that I so desperately sent to every publisher that I know of and that I found on the internet, but I didn't get much chance of sharing that. But with this feeling of wanting to keep my very small regional traditions alive and what my great-grandmother Angela taught us, I decided to share this with you on video now. So today I would like to talk to you about Christmas cakes and bakes in my family, in my town, and hopefully it's something that you would enjoy. So without any further ado, and I'm watching outside because one of my trees is kind of falling by the wind and I'm kind of afraid it's gonna break the window. If you hear a big crack, is the tree that fell on the window and broke everything, and then you probably will need to run away. Anyway, we were saying, yeah, take your cup of tea, your knitting project, and let's get back into my family's kitchen. So once again, it's Norway. It's really foggy outside. It's quite dark overall, but it smells beautifully. My great-grandmother is sitting by the fireplace and knitting up as per usual. She is knitting, I'd say, a shawl. She always knitted shawls, and shawls are very traditional in Venice, really a thing over there. I get down from bed and it's baking day because it's the first week of Advent and we need to bake for Christmas. So what are the bakes that we do have over there? So traditionally, of course, everybody would know about the panettone. It's not panettone, it's panettone. There is an E final, which in Italian is e, panettone. And panettone is a bake, like a sweet enriched bread with a lot of eggs, a lot of butter, a lot of sultanas or dry grape and candied peels, sugar, almonds, everything. The legend says that in a bakery nearby Milan, There was this guy, a trainee baker, Tony, it was called, which is the short for Anthony, of course, in English as well. It was left alone in the bakery, and his master says, "Mind the bread and don't make a mess." Tony was a little awkward in the kitchen. He didn't know how to move. He was very young, so he was trying to pile up a batch of flour bags on the table to get ready for the bakes, while in the turning machine there was a big chunk of bread dough being churned. And Tony spilled the sugar into the machine, spilled the sultanas and the peels, and he broke some eggs, and the eggs went into the machine as well. So everything was bashed up in the dough for the bread of the day, and Tony was terrified. He quickly put everything into the oven, shaped as a bread loaf as better as he could, and he was just hoping that the fire will make a magic, and when his master came back there wouldn't be any mess left. But the mess was still there, and what he got was a beautiful, beautiful cake that nobody had tried before, and turned out to be extraordinarily popular for Christmas. The word panettone is a combination of pan and Tony. So bread of Tony, the guy. And so far we have this little Italian bake that is very, very popular over there and all over the world. This is kind of a story, probably is just invented to keep up with the thing. But that is what's happening in Milan, so it's the central north part of Italy. Closer to home, we do have what's called pandoro, with golden bread, if I translate literally. It's a big star-shaped type of sweet dough without any raisins, anything, just butter, a lot of eggs, and a lot of sugar. It's a really lovely, really sugary, and I like to eat that or to prepare that with some ice cream. It's absolutely delicious. It's not as popular as panettone, but it's still really, really nice, and you can find it all around the world as well. We didn't grow up having any of those. Those were sort of things that you only found in the shops and in the bakeries. My family was living in a big farm, quite isolated from the rest of the town, and we tend to make the best that we could from the produce of our land and our vegetable garden, the eggs from our chicken, and so on. So what's very popular there, not just to my family but to all the families, is something called fugassa. Fugassa is a Venetian word that could be roughly translated in Italian as focaccia, and everybody knows about those beautiful Genoese style focaccia with rosemary on the top or rock salt, and they're just very tasty and flat bread type of thing. In this case, picture a fugassa as a enriched loaf of bread, very big, very tall, and extraordinarily squishy, and of course sweet. I will put the recipe of the traditional fugassa down in the description if you want to try that. It's a lengthy process, it takes a few days, but it's extraordinarily, extraordinarily tasty. So the first day you do prepare the dough and yeast. Traditionally you would use bread yeast or bread dough from the previous day, just a tiny little bit. This thing doesn't have a lot of yeast in it. The yeast will grow as the dough mature and get better over the days. So take your flour, and please use only 00 type flour, because that is the key for our beautiful fugassa. And on the first day, you just make the dough. So I remember being there on this massive kitchen table that we had in my kitchen, in my house, and the fireplace going and making about 5 kilos of yeasted dough. And so far it's only flour, yeast, and a tiny bit of water just to bring the dough together. The dough then will go behind the stove. There was a little alcove where we used to store, I don't know, pots and pans and stuff like that. And it's very warm over there. So the dough kept there for a few days was able to ferment and raise and get all the yeast required for the final product growing and being more flavorful probably. After a couple of days, while the dough has been there resting and growing, we will add eggs, we will add raisins if you want, currants, blackberries, and all the dry fruit that you could find around the farm and that during the summer you collected and you put under spirit or you dried up. And once again, a lot of butter in this dough. You knead it and you put that in paper molds. Paper molds are extraordinarily difficult to find abroad. I wasn't able to find any here in Ireland, and I wasn't really able to ship them from abroad because they're really fragile. They are roundy paper cups, like the ones that you would use for cupcakes, but big, and they can store half a kilo or 700 grams of dough, and they are kind of a thing over there, traditional for this type of bakes. Out of the entire dough, you could get about 8 or 10 fugassas. You knead the dough, you create a ball, you put them in the mold, you let them rest for another day until they grow quite a bit. The last day, you will be able to decorate those bakes, those fugassas, with dried almonds rather than sugar, rather than egg wash or whatever you like. And then once they are decorated, in the oven they goes for about an hour at very, very low temperature. And they are just the most amazing enriched bread and the most traditional cake that we have over there. I really hope you did enjoy this little recipe detour today. It's been a pleasure to share it with you, and once again, don't forget that we do have a knit-along going on. There will be prizes, there is some Irish yarn, some patterns, and I'm working on having some more prizes that will be announced and drawn at the end of this advent calendar, Vlogmas video thingy. And to enter, choose one of my patterns. Down in the description I have my Ravelry link with all my patterns, and tag me on Instagram, on Twitter, Facebook, wherever you want, or send me an email using the hashtag #AnIrishKnittingPodcast. I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye.